28 years ago, Schechter Manhattan was founded. There was no conservative day school in Manhattan. Initially, we were housed at Park Avenue Synagogue. The original agreement was that it would be a year or two, but we stayed for 15 years and were never charged a penny in rent. An enormous contribution by that synagogue. But obviously, we outgrew it. So then we had two campuses, one at Park Avenue and one at the Society for the Advancement of Judaism on 86th Street. And eventually, we decided we needed our own premises, which is the place that we're sitting in now.
We've been involved with Schechter for almost 15 years, going back to when they first moved into the new building on Columbus Avenue. And from our first experience, we saw their teaching methods that they used, how they taught values, how they taught mitzvot, and we wanted to be part of that.
The legacy of Schechter Manhattan, to me, is a school that was willing to break boundaries in order to provide the best education to each individual child and be willing to recognize that somebody to your left is very different than somebody to your right. I think a lot of schools weren't doing that at the time, and I think in a lot of ways Schechter really led the way.
We know that before people can achieve their dreams, they have to first have their basic needs met. Not only their physical needs, but their social and emotional needs. And so at Schechter Manhattan, we start by building that safe community.
We try to create an environment of inquiry where kids are curious, and we try to, as often as possible, follow their interests.
You're going to see kids working in small groups, in pairs, trying to solve some problem, trying to engage some text. That's what I mean by students being active, students being at the center.
They learn to work with each other and not just by themselves. And so that was, I think, an important part of the success, because people have to work together, and they learn that at a very early age.
Coming out of middle school, going into high school, I had an analytical skill set and a curiosity that a lot of my peers didn't have, because we were instructed to question everything. We were instructed to have a yearning and a hunger for learning. And I really have brought that throughout my entire career.
There's a lot to say about the contribution that Schechter Manhattan makes in the Jewish world, in the world of education, and in the lives of our students. We are working to cultivate the leaders in the Jewish community for tomorrow.
We're models for our students of an integrated human being. You know, I'm not just me, my secular self, or me, my Jewish self, but I am one person, and these are all parts of me.
When our grandson was in first grade, I remember he was making a siddur. Instead of giving him a siddur like they do in many schools, he was making a siddur of his own. He owned his Jewishness, and that impressed me from the very beginning.
That was so quintessential for the kind of education that Schechter Manhattan provides, and I think why it's so great that we're moving into Road of Shalom with this kind of more focused sect of a large school.
This process of transitioning many of our students to another school has involved a huge amount of work, and we were able to institute an advanced program called Makor, where our students and students from the other school can sign up for a more advanced Jewish education.
Essentially, they're taking the Schechter approach, the Schechter Manhattan discipline, the Schechter Manhattan pedagogy, and applying it to a specific track within Road of Shalom. I think it speaks just absolute volumes to how strong the reputation of this school is, and just how important this style of intensive Judaism, but also hands-on, interesting, dynamic learning is to the Jewish community as a whole.
Schechter Manhattan is more than just a school. It's a community. And I mean that in the most sincere way. People walk away having felt the warmth, the connection, the relationships.
Everybody who's been involved in the school should be very proud of what we've accomplished.
For me, the biggest gratification of this award is the chance to show everybody that Schechter Manhattan has such a big impact on its students, and it's so wonderful and critical that we continue the Schechter Manhattan way of education, the Schechter Manhattan approach, as we move into a different period in our history.
I think the ultimate test will be to look for our students in the future and the roles they're playing in the Jewish community, and I have no doubt that we will all continue to kvel.